changing of our graphics up on the screen, and we're going to bring in Brian. How are you doing tonight?
I don't know, man. I'm much like Washington's defense. I'm very inconsistent.
I thought you'd be happy. I mean, it's just so weird to me that we could lose to the Bears, right? And it could be on this 3-game losing streak, and then we go to Atlanta, where, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Atlanta had lost all season at home. And we pulled out, I think, a pretty good win. I mean, there were some moments where I had question marks or whatever on the team, but we did the thing. We came away with a W on the road, which, a lot of people didn't have. Although a lot of people in our group, Pick'em, did, and I saw you made some big moves this week in Pick'em, and Champ, and is doing really well, and also Sith is crushing it this week. But it's a really interesting week. I thought the Giants might actually pull that off last night. The Eagles end up losing to the Jets for the first time in their franchise history. Just some interesting games this week, but that's important. And we're kind of hate watching the Cowboys right now, who unfortunately I believe have a 10-7 lead in this game. But hopefully they'll be able to crumble, because if they are, then it's a big week for us to sort of get back, against some of these teams. I agree that it's a little middling, but the defense showed up when it was when they needed to. So what are some of your thoughts on that?
I feel better about the loss in Philadelphia. I feel better about the loss to Philadelphia than I did the victory against Atlanta. Because when we lost to Philadelphia, I really was able to hang my hat on the way the offense was moving and the game planning. I'm like, okay, we just lost to the better team, but maybe now it's no more of us playing up or down to our competition. Maybe it's just us doing our own thing. Then we went out against the Bears and got smacked. I'm like, okay, well, that's dead. Even with that, I picked us to beat Atlanta. But they just didn't want to win that game. They really let them hang around. They really played conservative. You could tell when they were playing for a field goal and when they were playing for a touchdown. We didn't see enough screen passes. It's just, there were some head scratchers. And Sam was doing everything he could. The drop passes are becoming an issue. I was talking to Big Hub this week, and he was like, is our receiving core overrated? Did we come into this season thinking that we had Jahan Dotson, who might be as good or close to Terry, and De'Ami Brown, who's just about to have a breakout year? And in the end, is Curtis Samuel our best receiver? Like, what's going on? It's Terry's still Terry, and he really proved that. But they really did not stoke confidence in me going forward. I don't look at this as a team that's going to easily beat the Giants. I don't look at this as a team that can beat the Cowboys. I look at this as just a team. And it depends on how our defense feels like playing. I don't know what the hell is happening with Del Rio not wanting to call blitzes, even though when he calls them, great things happen, except for that one time. I don't know what's up with Chase over pursuing and getting his hands on the quarterback, but not sacking them. I don't know what's up with the offensive line looking like the worst line of all time, but then when the stats come back, it says things like, Lucas didn't have any, not Lucas, whoever it was the Leno, Lucas, whichever one it was, didn't give up a single pressure all game. I don't know what's going on with that line. People are saying that Sam Howell's holding the ball too long, but he's near the top of quick releases. I don't understand what's going on with this team.
Yeah, it is kind of head scratching, because I do watch the games. At no point do I feel very confident in it, and I thought the defense was supposed to carry the offense, and the offense looks good at sometimes, but then late in games, they kind of don't score when we need them to, and then the defense kind of bails us out. So it's just this kind of this weird dynamic where it's like no side is really leading the charge, so to speak, so you don't really know our identity. Are we a defensive or a run team? Are we a pass team? It's just, there's a lot of question marks. And ultimately, I think the thing that is universally true for us is our special teams. When our special teams is good, we actually end up winning a lot of games. And it sucks to have to rely on like a Trust Way and a punting. I mean, especially in that Eagles game, I feel like he had his worst punt of the season, and it led to them winning that game, right? And then meanwhile, he punts great in these other games, and we win. And it's a weird dynamic, but that and field goal kicking is clutch. We really rely on our special teams in a way that was kind of surprising to me.
I mean, 3 interceptions. Without all 3 of those interceptions, we don't beat Atlanta.
It's true.
We had to have all 3 of them, and 2 of them were really ridiculous throws. One was a great play, but 2 of those interceptions were ridiculous throws. Without those 2 ridiculous throws, we do not win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted. We just got a goal in the shootout. It has gone to the shootout. So I do want to do a little a goal graphic to appear on the screen for that. And we're watching a crazy ending to this Caps game live on air. It's cool. The Caps are back, and it's a big save there to keep it at 1-0 in the shootout. So we'll give a little more of an update in a few minutes on that. Let's talk about this upcoming couple of weeks. It's kind of a big pivotal point in the schedule in a lot of ways for the Commanders. This next game is against the Giants, and the Giants always play us tough. It's never an automatic W. This game is at the Meadowlands on Sunday at 1:00, and then we got Philadelphia at home the following week, and then we go to New England. And in my mind, if you can win 2 out of those 3 and end up, at 5-4, that would be pretty good. New England is able to be beat this year. The Giants are able to be beat this year. But the thing is we play down to our opponents a lot. So I don't know what sort of team we're going to get from us. So we could just break down the Giants game because you only have a few minutes left. But overall, what are your thoughts on the Giants, and then, how that will lead to the upcoming games?
If Daniel Jones is the QB, it's an easy victory. If Tyrod Taylor is the QB, we're losing that game. That's just where it is. If Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback for the Giants, it's a problem. It's a whole nother game. I don't know. We're not good against mobile quarterbacks. We've shown that. Mobile quarterbacks move around on us. They negate our blitz. We have to play contain, and our defensive linemen aren't that good at containing. So if Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback, that Giants game can go either way. Daniel Jones is the quarterback. That's an easy victory. New England, I think that's a victory no matter what. They're not doing the thing. New England's not New England. And this is Bill Belichick's last year. Who's the other team?
It's the Philadelphia is the team in between them. So we have to have them at home, which has not proven to be, we haven't had a huge home field advantage so far,
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, they've also proven they can be beaten. We had them dead to rights, and we, played bitch ball, and that's why we lost to them. I mean, we could blame Tressway, but ultimately it was the play calling in overtime that cost us the game against Philadelphia.
I just want to quickly let everyone know the Caps did win in the shootout 1-0. So I'm happy that we finally got our first win of the season, only in our second game, but it is a better taste in my mouth after we lost to Pittsburgh to start it. I have been doing your commands in chat. People should definitely go check out Hurt. He does a great podcast called Life versus Lymphedema. You can find that on YouTube. The link is in the Facebook links section. It's also live in chat on Twitch right now. It'll also be shared when we share out the podcast. It's a really great little show he's doing over there. Let people know what you're up to right now, and anything else you want to shout out.
My super secret project that I'm not allowed to talk about is wrapping up right now. So the next 2 weeks, if anyone's wondering why I haven't been updating my Life versus Lymphedema page, it's because right now all of my filming is obligated to this one project I'm working on. And we're actually having some negotiations about that because I'm told they don't want me to update my Life versus Lymphedema page until my project is over, which can't happen. So we're going to sit down and have that conversation later on this week. But that's kind of where I'm at.
They want you to go dark for months, and so you can't grow the channel in that time.
No. They want me to go dark for 8 months. They want me to go dark until July of next year when my project becomes public to everybody.
Right.
And that's absolutely not going to happen. But they don't want me talking about what's happening right now on my site, which I have done before. I did talk about, like, you know, I gave away a little bit of what was happening.
Yeah.
And we're just having negotiations about that now, about how to move forward where everybody trusts everybody. We're also having compensation issues, but that's not for this right here. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. You know, I took a social media sabbatical with the death of Banks, and I'm kind of over that now. I'll be back with Toxic Tuesday tomorrow because, you know, my dating life is interesting to say the least. I'll be talking about that in depth tomorrow on Facebook. And I will do some type of update on Life versus Lymphedema in the next week or so.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know. We're always here to shout out whatever you can shout out. And you know that I'm a huge supporter of you and your transformation and everything that you've done. And you've been such a huge member of our podcast, our very first producer, the person who helped get us started. So you're always been a big part of the True Radio Network that we try to live on through our show and Champ Show and other shows as well. So thank you for being the pillar of this community and a good friend to me and so many. And I hope that whatever you want to get resolved out of that dispute, you get, and you deserve it. And we'll see if they agree with me or not. So, yeah.
We'll be seeing real soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for your time as always, and we'll see you maybe next week or whatever you got the time.
All right, later on.
All right, later. All right, with that, I'm going to bring in Gil, and you know, I know you don't like the shootout, but you know, we made it happen. I'm going to change up the graphics real quickly and go back to our NHL graphics package. And so Gil, explain to people who couldn't watch live what happened in this shootout.
Yes, so they had Kuzi start with that in the number 1 slot, and he did what he's been doing for over a year now. He took it in real slowly over the line, and waited the goalie out until he released, shot real fast, and slipped it by the goalie. And so the Caps took a 1-0 lead in the shootout. God, I think Huberdeau was Calgary's first shooter, and I was listening in the background. You caught that first shot. Kemper made a pretty good pad save on that one. Backstrom was the next shooter, and Markstrom got that one. So still 1-0. I'm blanking on the second shooter for Calgary, but Kemper, I think that one went wide, if I'm not mistaken, or Kemper got a piece of it. I think that was the one where Kemper got a piece of it. And then Ovi was the final shooter. And he tried to go glove side after a deke move, almost got it. Had he lifted it about maybe a couple inches, he would have gotten it, but it was stopped by Markstrom. And then Calgary's final shooter was Nazem Kadri, and I think he was the one that put it wide of Kemper. And right. I hope everybody was watching Kemper's celebration after that. He did. I don't know if anybody out there is a Brazil soccer fan, but if you are, maybe you remember a guy used to play for the national team named Bebeto, who after he and his wife had their first child, he celebrated his first national team goal after that by doing this, which cradling a baby, and it's exactly the motion that Kemper did when he stopped that final shot.
He did it for his newborn, right?
He did it for his newborn. Just had it right.
A baby this week. And so it says here TJ Oshie may have had the second shootout shot. Is that possible?
No. Oh, you know what?
That would have made more sense to Backstrom if he's available.
I could have sworn it was Backstrom, but you know what? Maybe it was Oshie.
Because it says Huberdeau was saved, and the other two says it was a miss, at least according to Yahoo. And it was Sarganovich was the miss, and Kadri was the other miss, and then Ovi was the miss. So but I don't know. I'll let you figure that out. But and Bula Acoustic in chat, it says Bebeto, great scorer. Bula is actually from Brazil, so we have somebody live watching us. He's a huge soccer fan from Brazil. So I'm happy we were able to get that in there. So he said World Cup in 1994, and in fact, that was the World Cup that was here that my dad, who's in chat, took me to.
Awesome.
Right? That was the one that was in
that
DC.
was the one.
Yeah. So all full circle. I don't think I've ever told you, Bola, that I went to some games in that World Cup in '94, which was really cool. And so it's a nice full circle moment. So I'm super happy that we were able to win. It doesn't matter if it was TJ or Nick that missed, but either way, I'm happy. Was it?
You were right. It was Oshie who took the second shot. For some reason, I thought it was Backstrom, but it was Oshie who took it, and it was a straight save by Markstrom. It was Yegor Sharangovich, who took the second shot for Calgary. That was the one that missed. That missed apparently as well, as did the last one by Kadri. But Kemper, I thought, stood pretty tall in this one. And great win, even though it had to go, the full distance, but great win, great first win. Nice to get that one out of the way.
Yeah, for sure. Our time is short, so I'm just going to say thank you to you, Gil, for breaking this down. We did have a power play opportunity in overtime that I'd be remiss to, not mention. Obviously, that didn't convert for us, and that's why I went to the shootout, but I was happy that some momentum shifted with it, and also they were able to, ever since I changed my outfit, never let another goal in, even in the shootout. So I clearly needed to do that outfit change to get some juju going in the right direction. But Gil, I appreciate you breaking it down as always. Maybe we'll have C4 call in later and give us her opinion live at the game. But if not, we'll have her maybe next week, and maybe even Anna and you join us for this great segment. So I really appreciate your time as always, and everyone go check out the Power Play Point podcast.
Thanks as always, Robbie. Have a good night.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we're going to go back to football, and we're going to change out our graphics one more time, and we're going to bring in DC's People's Champ and Dujunnea, and we will talk a little bit about some of those things. So we'll go back to the NFL graphics package, and awesome. I'll bring in Champ first. Champ, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Victory Mondays is always a good time on this podcast when we win, though it was kind of a struggle for this victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. So I'm semi-happy.
Yes, for sure. And Champ joins us, and he's also a member of the True Radio Network with the No Spots podcast. And so everyone should go check it out. He had a great episode this past week. He's now does his filming on Sundays. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show, but I just want to give him a shout out for having a great show and talking about some issues that he doesn't always address in his final thoughts. And we'll talk about that in our final thoughts of this show as well. But I really appreciate some of the sentiment of some of that. But next up, we got Dujunnea Bland, who now a seasoned podcaster with his new show, The Not Bland Show, going through with I think you had episode 3 this past week. Is that right?
Yes.
And I think you had Carol on this episode. Is that right?
Yes.
Nice. And so we did have a Carol sighting in the podcast world, and so I did enjoy watching him on your show this week, and he actually also put a clip of that on his YouTube channel as well. And but how are you doing today, Dujunnea?
Man, I'm doing good. Washington wins, and it's not the prettiest, but you'll take that win. And 3-3 is always nice.
The Not
Yeah.
Bland Show, the best podcast out there, not named the No Spots podcast. I'm just playing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we got no spots and not bland, right? So, it's an interesting combination. I'm just quickly giving a scoring update. It is still 10-7 in this Dallas game. Unfortunately, Dallas is still winning. Philly is winning in the baseball game 5-2 now with 2 men on. So we're in the top of the 7th inning, I think that's what it says. So we'll be monitoring both of those games throughout the rest of the evening. But I'll start off with you, Dujunnea. What are your thoughts on the defense being able to stand tall in some key moments and sort of the up and down play on both sides of the ball that we saw throughout the day?
Defense made some plays. Getting those interceptions were crucial. I still don't like the fact that you allowed over 400 yards of offense. That's still not good. Against a good football team, I don't know if they come away with that win because I think more seasoned quarterback finishes, possibly. The fact of the matter is they were able to come up with some interceptions, and those things were key. Thought the special teams play by Jamison Crowder was huge. Really played a big role in the field position. And offensively, they had a lot of short fields. They took advantage of those, which is important. And you still got some growing pains with your quarterback. But at the end of the day, I think Sam Howell looks the part, is the part. He's just got to learn some nuances and become a little bit quicker at times with either throwing an incompletion and getting it out, just throwing out of bounds, or letting that clock go off and actually taking off and getting some positive yards.
Yeah, I don't know. I was happy to see the defense came through in the end, but it's just like we don't know how to take control over a game and like just really solidify it. Like all teams have chances to come back on us. Like it's not. There's nothing comes easy, for a Commanders fan. Like I'm always nervous to the very end. Like even when we're playing well, I'm happy that the turnovers are starting to finally come for this team because it's something that we talked about that it needs to happen. And in games where it doesn't happen, it's just really hard for us to generate enough because the way that our defense is kind of set up it's kind of like bend don't break, we're allowing a lot of yards, but then we're trying to pick it off at the end, or force a fumble or try to get a change of possession, and you're playing with fire, and like it's a difficult situation to put our selves into, and but our offense needs to also not do 3 and outs on key drives and just give them some time to rest because the defense can play really well, but when they're just keep on getting back out there, it's just really difficult.
Well, I know people say that all the time, and I'll use the Jets as an example. There was a 10-3 ball game or a 13-10 ball game between the Browns and the 49ers, and those defenses were battling back and forth. It came down to the end. So sure, you don't want your defense out there, but there's times that your defense has just got to harvest their nuts and do their job. You don't condition over training camp for nothing. And we watch teams do this all night long. I mean, this Monday night game right now, 7-7 ball game all the way until the end of the half there. And defenses are playing ball, doing what they got to do to get the offenses off the field. So I don't really blame the personnel, so to speak, with Washington. Again, my blame lies with coaching. The bottom line is that you got to be more aggressive. I don't think that this dropping guys, again, you got Cody Barton covering somebody again, Jamin Davis in a bad position, getting picked and looked silly by Pitts at least once. It's not those guys' fault. It's how you design and how you scheme. And the scheme to me just isn't well. And the stats prove that. I mean, they've given up 422.7 yards in the last 3 games. That's dead last. You're giving up on average 377 yards, and you got several number one picks all the way across the board. I mean, we can look at it, and if you know football and you're looking at this defense, it's not that hard to figure out. They're not moving any guys around. And I'll touch on what Hurt said about Chase Young going up the field. I've been saying that since he started here. He's got to learn to have a second move. He's got that old school Washington Redskins, Bruce Smith, rush up the field right past the quarterback and leave a running lane. He does that too many times, and he's got to learn to do and hold the contain a little bit better and turn inside, get him, and do something different. But going up the field just hasn't been working for him. But yeah, not enough creativeness in that front seven. I think you got enough on the back end to take care of business. And if you're getting pressure, that ball comes out a lot quicker, makes your cornerbacks look a lot better. I see teams getting by with corners that are less than what we have. Bottom line is if your front seven's getting home and they're being disruptive, there's no reason to have to worry about your back end because they're not having to cover very long. But this team on several occasions, especially on third downs, and a lot of times on third and long, they're having to cover for more than 7 seconds. So, of course, somebody's going to be open. Can't blame them at all. That scheme. So you guys know how I feel about Jack. And, the stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Yeah, they got a couple of interceptions in that Atlanta game. But, again, I think if you saw me tweet earlier in that game, it was time to put him on a plane to his house. And I still believe that.
Yeah, it's interesting because they just got saved by all those interceptions. I just don't know how many weeks you can, rely on that happening.
You're not going to do that against the Giants. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, sounds good. Champ, I want to get a couple of your quick thoughts on some of this, what Dujunnea was talking about.
One of the crazy things about this game is that you have a secondary that's going up against 3 or 4 receivers that are at least 6'2" tall. So you had a couple pretty tall receivers against some very undersized DBs, and Drake London killed us. He freaking killed us. You understand me? He killed us. Like, Drake London ended up with 9 catches on 12 targets for 125 yards. He didn't have a touchdown, so that's a good thing, but he killed us in terms of making some big plays. And I mean, it's just interesting to see how all facets of the game on all sides of the ball, offense, defense, were both up and down. Special teams gave us a spark, especially with the Jamison Crowder big return on the punt that led to a touchdown which was a big thing for this team. But I think that honestly, EB and Jack Del Rio, they got to get it together in terms of their coaching strategy and their game planning, and making adjustments, because they're clearly something is not right when offensively they can do somewhat good and defensively they can do somewhat good. And because Atlanta's not that good of a team, they're able to win. But against a team like the Eagles, they were able to hang in with the Eagles, and even though they lost, they still was able to hang in. I don't like the idea that this team could be playing down to certain opponents and try to play up to others. They should be playing consistently on the same level with everybody, because that gives them the best chance of winning games, honestly. And I think that's what we saw with this game. We saw that with the Bears game, where it looked like they played down to the Bears and the Bears absolutely beat the crap out of them. And then they played down to Atlanta, and Atlanta almost brought it back. But Desmond Ridder threw 2 very, very crucial interceptions late in that fourth quarter, one to Benjamin St-Juste and the other one to the linebacker, who just made a beautiful play on the ball and made that beautiful interception. Jamin Davis, thank you very much. And by the way, that was his first career interception. So his first career interception ended up clinching the game for this team. But we can't be having these butt clinching games. We can't. I'm 41 years old. I'm too young to have a heart condition because this team want to play cardiac games. I can't do it. You know, I already got enough stress in my life. The last stress what I need is this team having these butt clenching, oh my God, are they going to pull it out games? I can't deal with that. I just can't. I can't. That's all I got. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's pretty hard to watch, and I'm happy for YouTube TV because all of these games are right during the middle of like birthday parties and events for my son. So I'm like sitting there like in the corner, like watching it. And at least I can rewind and like I can be present for a little bit and like rewind and go and see some of these things. So I'm watching the games a little bit hodgepodge, but it's almost better for my health that I'm not watching it like in real time, like because when I do that, it's very nerve wracking. So I understand where you're coming from, Champ.
By the way, funny story. One of the few times that the Commanders faced the Atlanta Falcons, I actually was watching that game while attending my son's baby shower almost 10 years ago.
That's funny.
That is pretty funny. So, Dujunnea, I know your time is short, so I do want to get your quick thoughts, going into this Giants game. And then it's kind of this, I was talking to her a little bit about it. You got a Giants game, then you got the Eagles game at home, and then you've got this New England game on the road. And I really kind of feel like if we want to turn this season around and make the playoffs, we got to try to win 2 out of these 3 here. To give us a little bit of cushion because these other teams, it's a hard division. And so what are your thoughts on this pivotal game against the Giants and then looking forward to the 2 games after that as well?
Well, I mean, I felt like Buffalo, I don't know, Buffalo is Buffalo sometimes, and that's what you're going to get sometimes with them. Don't get it twisted though. This Giants defense is very scrappy. They do get after it, but they do give up a lot of yards. So I think they're 5th worst in the league in giving up yards, total yards. So I think it's 364 yards per game. They are also 31st in giving up rush yards, which is about 147, I believe, yards. They've been giving up about 156 yards per game in their last 3 on the ground. So my thing is, what I'm watching with this running game a lot of times is they're trying to run up the middle and they're not really getting a lot of push. And it's more of a, hand it off, push forward. There's no counter. There's no zone blocking, whatever. I think you have to start being a little bit more creative to get Brian Robinson going, because right now he's just running right into the backside of his own players, and that's not good. But we did see, which I did like, using a combination of Rodriguez and Gibson in the run game. They just have a different style. And I thought they had some things going when they used Rodriguez. I just think they have to be more creative with Brian Robinson. His ability to be able to catch. We saw the screen, the screen there that he took to the house. They just have to be more creative. And they have to be able to have success in the run game, because I think there's no doubt that they can pass the football. It's also one of these things of there's a fine line between saying Sam Howell holds the ball too long, and he does on occasion, and he's taking too many sacks, too many hits, too many sacks, and somehow they've got to help him be able to get the ball out a little bit quicker, whether that's more 3-step drops, more slants, more quick stuff. We saw Terry McLaurin getting open on those short ones, 5-6 yards type plays. And you still got a Curtis Samuel that's playing great ball. Got to find a way to get him involved, and got to find a way to get Dotson to catch footballs. Like, it's just weird. I believe he'll get there, but this is going to be a game. I don't know who's going to start at quarterback. It's a little early to find that out right now. But whether you have Tyrod, whether you have, Daniel, I don't know. You're just going to have to play sound football and you're going to have to get pressure on them. And they have a Saquon Barkley that is back. And we know that this team gives up big plays in the run game. So you're going to have to force them, take away something. Here I go saying this again, when they don't take away nothing, take away something from them and force the Giants to do what they don't do well. And that's pass the football, because quarterbacks are getting killed. I mean, that's why Danny Dimes is sitting where he is right now, even though he should be called Danny Interception. But they've got to take something away. And EB's got to be a little bit more balanced, because I can't use the excuse that they were behind against the Falcons. They just got a little pass happy. And some of those calls were good. They just didn't work out. But don't give the defense an ability to tee off on you because you're passing so much. So somewhere they've got to find that fine line. But I think Sam Howell's playing, despite taking too many sacks and unnecessary sacks, when you probably should get rid of the ball, and you're taking losses and getting yourself out of field goal range, stuff like that. He's playing good ball. And they've just got to find a way to be more balanced on offense. And like I said, defense has got to come in and take something away. And to go with what Champ was saying, it's not so much that you said it too, Robbie. It's not so much that they play down to people. It's just that people come in prepared and get up for games, and we come in flat every time. That's coaching. Because look at Ron Rivera on the sideline. That blank stare, ho hum, flat looking face, no emotion. That's what the team looks like. So at some point, you got to come out and you got to be aggressive. And really, your defensive coordinator is the same way. Ho hum, dumb look on his face, stupid scheme, and getting burnt every week. Got to come out and you got to punch people in the mouth, because they sure enough coming in and punching Washington in the mouth when they can. So that's what you're going to have to do, because this Giants team is scrappy, and it's in New York. We already know how that goes for Washington in New York. So they're going to have to come in with a little attitude and come in to take something from someone, not to be led around in hopes to win a game.
Yeah, I can't remember if we've ever had a laugher of a game against New York. Like, it's always close. It's always a defensive slugfest. Yeah, I would love for us to have a game where we were up big and we held on to that. I don't ever see that happening against a team like the Giants. And yeah, I think that, their defense is the real deal. I mean, the fact they were able to hold the Bills down for that long of the game, I mean, I still can't believe that ending, and they probably should have got it in there, but It was just a crazy game for sure. But I'm happy that we have this opportunity for sure. Anyway,
For sure.
Sorry. Dujunnea, let people know what's happening on the Not Bland show this week.
This week, we'll be talking about the Fall Nationals with the NHRA. We only got 2 playoff races, and points leads have changed dramatically. Guys who thought that they were on the road to possibly clinching a championship are now hoping that folks trip up in front of them because they're pretty much, their destiny is in someone else's hands. We're going to talk a little NFL with Chris James. We're going to talk about some of the 5-1 teams and some of the 5-1 teams that are kind of a surprise, and see which ones might actually be a potential Super Bowl contender. And then, of course, in the last hour, going to bring on our guy from Sports Journey, Bob Matthews, and we're going to talk some Commanders football. And we're going to kind of analyze this Giants game and see what needs to be done in order for the Commanders to get a win on the road in New York.
Sounds great. Yeah. So just a little scoring update in this Monday Night Football game. The Chargers got the ball in really great field position, getting the ball about the 50-yard line. But they unfortunately stalled and ended up with just a field goal. So now the game is tied 10-10, minute and 8 seconds left in the third. Arizona's put up a couple of runs there. Now it's the end of the 7th, and it's 5-3, but the game is getting much closer in that baseball game as well. So Dujunnea, a great show last week. And I'm excited for your show this week. I hope that everyone is able to tune in. You can basically find him Not Bland, 21 on everywheres. Anything else that we should know about before we let you go?
Champ, get ready. 25th, our middle segment is wrestling. So get ready.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. And subscribe. It's at The Not Bland Show on YouTube. Subscribe and hit the bell, man. Hit the bell. Y'all have a great show, man. This is always a blast during the season, and hopefully they can keep winning.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, links are in the description as well for the audio podcast. And on that page, you can actually find links to the Facebook, the YouTube, and some of their other stuff as well, including finding them on iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the different stuff. So again, The Not Bland Show, and all of his information can also be found in our podcast partners. Actually, I need to swap that. That's your old show, but you can find out more information on the Team SportsOTHP button, and it's got all of your links to all your articles and stuff like that. So
appreciate you, bro.
Of course, thank you, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. Later.
Peace.
All right. So with that, we'll bring in Arun.